Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever, and wherever you are in the world. Today we are on SpeedGaming 2, bringing you a Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Tournament match in the 0 and 1 Swiss bracket between shadyforce and matt7898. Calling this match today, I am Reg. I am joined by Mercer. So Mercer, why don't you intro the spoiler format a bit for people who may not know?
Sure. So our runners have been given a log for this seed. It's a 7-7 open seed for those familiar with Randomizer, which means we need to get 7 crystals, climb GT and kill Aga 2, and then murder Ganon to win the day. And they've been given the locations of everything along with other miscellaneous information like our crystals and pendants, tree pulls, that kind of thing. They've had this time to plan out a route that they're going to take through the game. So it'll be much quicker than a normal rando seed would be. It's kind of a cross between Randomizer and just no major glitches, vanilla runs.
Yeah, and we could see Matt's timer counting up there before you reset it. It was just shy of 15 minutes, which you can see shadyforce actually counting down towards 0, so we are going to be off right now.
Yeah, and both our runners choosing to start in the sanctuary, but not getting the chest that's there, so it may just be garbage, or presumably is just garbage.
Yeah, if it were anything worth having, these guys would know to grab it. But the flip side to that is they know not to grab everything that's junk. So we're going to be seeing a lot less of like the 20 rupee, 10 arrow sort of pickups this seed, and just a lot more focused on picking up the progression and the minimum amount of safeties these runners think they'll need to clear the seed.
And we see a little divergence as Matt goes and picks up some money, while shadyforce goes straight for the boots that are in the Lost Woods drop down.
Yeah, and that money is one of those things, like I said, we're not going to be seeing a lot of the incidental 20 rupee pickups here. So having your money in hand is important, knowing where to get it, because there are a lot of things to spend money on in this game.
Yeah, in particular, they'll know if Zora has something, but if Zora does have something, you have to route in an extra 500 rupees, which is not a small deal, especially if the 300 drops aren't on the way.
Right. Then on top of that, there's stuff like having to pay to get into Palace of Darkness, which is another 100 rupees. Of course, we do see that is a pendant this seed, so maybe not. We'll see. And then other things like the digging game, the big bomb, maybe buying bombs at some point if that's more convenient than finding them. But hey, we've got a flute in Kakariko. That's always convenient.
Yeah, I think every runner loves to see, boots and flute in the first 2 minutes of the seed.
Yep. Nobody can argue with that one, but it is a bit interesting. We did walk right by the 10-item cache of Blind's Hut plus the well. That's a lot of locations for these runners to not be checking, but sometimes they just turn up all junk.
shadyforce flutes away and then reconsiders and comes back to where he started. Both our runners heading into the library for some light reading or, mushrooms behind the shelves.
Yeah, always fun to get fetch quests off of something like this. Would be a fair bit spookier in a normal seed if we didn't already have the boots to get it immediately, but this ain't a normal seed. And we're immediately turning it in, too.
Yeah, with the flute, it's much quicker to turn that in than it would be without it. And a well-earned prize of a sword to start out.
Yep. Level 1 sword, not the greatest weapon in the world, but at the very least it lets you dash through things, so it pairs really well with the boots. Now, bit more divergence here. We've got Matt headed over. I would assume this is to Mini Moldorm Cave. Otherwise, he would have fluted to 7. Shadyforce headed up to the Uncle.
Yeah,
Awesome.
while the fire sword's not the best weapon, it's the first one they have without a limited supply. Bombs can get a little rough, but there's the Moon Pearl in the hidden passage.
Okay, that's absolutely required. And, well, that heart piece isn't. That heart piece also isn't. That heart piece also is not, but that glove really is. And then just clearing out the cave, getting 10 arrows.
And it looks like our runners are just going to reverse these two. You do see this a lot where they're going to do the same effective things. They just might do it in a slightly different order. Shadyforce needs to be a little cautious going down to half a heart here.
Yeah, we're in a situation right now where with the flute and the boots, like the difference between fluting to 4 to go to the castle and fluting to like 7 or 8 to go to Mini Moldorm Cave is essentially non-existent time-wise. Like that's, you got to do them both, and the flute is basically the equalizer there.
Yeah, Matt's spending a little more time in both areas to get more heart pieces. Shadyforce didn't even bother with the 2 heart pieces on the left side of Mini Moldorm Cave or the one off of Uncle. So now Matt does have 1 piece of heart over him, or 1 full heart container, I should say.
Yeah, and Shadyforce is still on that half heart as well because he didn't get that refill. But no real risk of dying in the overworld with the path he took. Just had to be a little bit cautious with that super speed around that Octorok that was shooting all those rocks. And now into Eastern Palace, where if the very unfortunate thing happens, he'll at least be right back at the front door.
Yeah, Matt bypassing the big key there in the cannonball chest while Shadyforce goes ahead and grabs it. This is a crystal that is kind of an indication that Matt is not planning on clearing this dungeon on this visit.
Yeah, we have no bow. There is very clearly no bow in here. Both of these runners know that, and that's what they're coming for. But that big key, they will have to come back and clear it at some point when they do have a bow. So grabbing that big key now versus grabbing that later, that's the same thing as the order of operations, like the Moon Pearl and the first glove in Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, it does just mean whenever they get back around to it, Shadyforce already have that out of the way. But it's pretty, it's time neutral in total. It's just to keep in mind while viewing if there's a really small gap between the two.
Yeah, looks like we're getting a bit of extra. I'm not sure if this is divergence or detour from Shadyforce here. 300 rupees and a bottle, so a lot of safety there. While Matt's skipping that, going straight to the Dark World, getting some safety of his own though.
Yeah, and a lot of runners will consider that armor to be the best pure safety in the game because it, in most situations, doubles your health effectively.
Yep. And not only does it double what you've already got, it doubles the value of everything you get going forward, so it's just wonderful to have. Matt detouring over to Stumpy for some cash of his own, and it looks like he's backtracking to the village. So looking at his rupee count, 320 means he had only 20 before picking up that 300. Could not pay this guy for the dig game. Absolutely needed that cash.
Yep, and you're absolutely going to need that mirror. Swamp is a crystal, so it's 100% required, as well as just being nice for a lot of item check locations and just navigating some dungeons.
Yep. Also, if they find a hammer before a hookshot, gets them to the east side of Death Mountain for things. But it looks like shadyforce had that same 300 rupee routed in, but then realized he got the one at the castle, doesn't actually need it, so had to turn around after getting most of the way there.
And Matt getting the bow from the Cave 45, depending on where the hammer was, that was locked by the Dark World access, so that is the reason for the force double dip into Eastern.
Yeah, at this point I have almost no doubt that that was force double dip, because I'm not really imagining a scenario where the hammer is available, like, just in the normal light world, and them not getting it instead of the glove in Eastern. But we do see a second sword there in the mire shed. That's a little nice.
Yeah, it's a good location for it. This seed, there are many seeds where that would be quite late, but this is not one of them.
Yep. And I mean, that's the sword that wins you the game. And there's the hammer. We don't have any sign of a book, so I think reasonable to assume that that hammer was behind both those mitts and that mirror. So yeah, double dip Eastern Palace, easy.
And Matt heading over towards Agina's cave. Only has, this will be the last bomb. Don't miss the wall with it.
Yeah. And there's a sword. So real good shape all of a sudden on the combat front.
Yeah, might still like to get some more health, but 4 hearts of blue mail is not disaster territory by spoiler log standards.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt did pick up a 5th container even in mire shed, so he's in really good shape for this.
Yeah, looks like he's heading towards Pod, which is a pendant. Does have the 110 total rupees to get in.
Yep. Does not have a lamp, which means that the dark rooms will be dark, but I know Matt and shadyforce both very good at this game. Shouldn't have any trouble braving those dark rooms if the situation requires it. And since, like you said, this is a pendant, they may just be in to get 1 or 2 things that are more towards the front of the dungeon and be out there. May not even see them clear it.
Yeah, the most difficult dark room in here, especially given that they don't have the fire rod, is the turtle room, but you only have to do that if you need to kill Helmasaur.
Right. The rupee basement isn't very hard at all, as we see Pod bow locking itself with a bow in that first chest. Okay.
Yep, although silvers for them because they'd already gotten a bow from K45.
Right. But if you're not going to Helmasaur King, the hardest dark room in this dungeon is definitely the Dark Maze. Honestly, with a sword for navigation and then just either good knowledge of the layout and muscle memory for it, or honestly just pulling up a map, depending on how comfortable you are with it and how practiced you are, it's not that bad.
Yeah, but depending on what they're here for, may not even need that.
Yeah. The only reason to really go into the Dark Maze right now is if something's directly in there or in the big chest, because you don't have to go through it to get into any further rooms. It's basically entirely self-contained. And we've got Zelda in chat confirming these guys are good enough for Dark Turtles without Fire Rod, which I sort of had a hunch, but that room does go south sometimes.
And it doesn't look like there's going to be any dark rooms needed at all anyways, as Matt pulls the fire rod out of the compass chest and then leaves.
So even if dark rooms were necessary there, they've got that little bit of bonus and safety just to make it easier on them. But that's it for Palace of Darkness for Matt, and he's going to go back clean up Eastern Palace now. Got to grab this big key, which he didn't do earlier, but that's not really a time saver, time loss either way, like we said.
Yeah, with boots and silver arrows in hand, this is going to be the fastest Easterner will ever be, and it's just a mirror away, so a good time to route it in.
Yeah, so while he's dashing through these corridors and Shadyforce is picking up his own fire rod, let's look through a bit what items we still need to find. Or I guess for these runners, it's more what location or what items they still need to get to. We need a hook shot, an ice rod, an ether medallion, some flippers, and a cane of Samaria. Am I really missing anything there? Or is that just the
No.
5?
That should be the complete list.
Alright, so a good 5 items from boss rush mode here, and like I said, both these runners have the spoiler log. They know where all of those are. So they're just going to route them in as efficiently as they see fit.
I mean, you know, a couple more heart containers along the way wouldn't be bad, but they're not going to go out of their way too much for them.
And there's probably at least a few directly in the way. Well, I say a few, probably at least 1 or 2, I would have to imagine. Yeah. Matt missing 1 silver arrow shot, but honestly not really even caring, just picking it right back up. Shadyforce missing all his fire rod shots, so having to find that Igor, kill it, and grab the key in the dark. So that's a little unfortunate, but he's through. No real problem. We did have Matt taking the walk out of the pod area in the Dark World, stopping here at Sahasrara. I don't remember what Shadyforce already picked up out of the back, but there it is. That was in the way for sure.
Yeah, with Matt still walking, presumably heading somewhere relatively close, since if it wasn't, he would just flute away.
Yeah, it's got to be either the Pyramid Ledge or Catfish at this point, because those are the only locations that are really inconvenient to get to by fluting to a different Dark World portal. And if he's going north here, we're looking at the out-of-the-way Catfish check. And I mean, honestly, there's no real good time to route this location in regardless. So doing it after the pod area and just biting the bullet on that long walk is probably the best bet you're going to get.
Yeah, it is kind of a difficult one to route in. In vanilla randomizer, you can sometimes do it with the Zora area, but usually in spoiler, if you need to do Zora, you have to do it before this is available.
Alright, and there's our medallion dungeon access for today, the only coin we will need.
Yep, we already have the fire rod, so no chance of Bombos being our Ice Palace access.
And we are going straight to the mountain with it. Which, mirror plus hammer means we have to come this way. We can't hook shot across the bridge. But, oh well. Looks like the goods are inside Spectacle Rock today.
Yep, and now we could hook shot across, but we're just going to save and quit out.
Yeah. No need to continue and grab whatever's on the east side of the mountain at this point. Like, we've got Turtle Rock, Hera crystals, but no Cane of Samaria to get into Turtle Rock. No Ice Rod to clear it either. The implication sort of being we would like to do those two dungeons last if possible, just route them right into Ganon's Tower. And that seems what Matt's intent on at this point. Well, assuming we don't have anything strange like the flippers inside Turtle Rock.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Matt making the dive into the back of escape that Shadyforce had done a while ago for the free-ish blue potion and heart container.
The cash will be nice if he wants to buy anything towards the end game here. Has to use that potion, wants to replenish it, for example, but we do have Shadyforce going into Skullwoods, completely skipping the front for now. Matt looks like he is following suit.
Yeah, right now it's really a question of the flippers and Cane of Samaria. That's all we need to clear the stuff that's not up on the mountain. And then we'll need Ice Rod before finishing Turtle Rock. That can be literally anywhere that's not blocked by Trinex.
Yeah, and it is worth noting Trinex is holding one of the 5-6 crystals in this seed, so it can't be Pyramid Fairy, which perfectly fine by me, honestly. Shadyforce almost getting the real nice slashing the Gibdo into the spike twice to kill it in just 2 hits. Got the first one, wasn't able to get it into the spike a second time, but at that point 2 Tempered Sword slashes is enough to down it and grab that key that he needed to get back here to the Moth.
Yeah, nice Moth Yellow fight, who has a vanilla boss heart container.
Yep, that's one of the quirks of this game, really, is actually Matt shows off that double slash into the spike that I was talking about, but there's only one heart container in this game that gives you a refill, and that's the one in the Sanctuary chest. Boss drop hearts don't give you a refill in this game because pendants and crystals do. And that was a really quick Moth fight for Matt. Like, Shadyforce's was great, but that was even better.
Yeah, now Shadyforce going up for the hook shot. So again, our runners kind of just trading locations. Very tight race. Oh, and a slight. The spin speed got a little off on jumping down to Spectacle Rock Cave. That's unfortunate.
That feels real bad. But we do have Matt headed for the Mire area. The only thing left here is Misery Mire itself, which we're entering without a Cane of Samaria. So the signal here is that either Cane is directly in here, or we've got some sort of nasty double dip with a fetch quest.
Yeah, or double dip with like flippers and then the Canaan Swamp.
Yeah, that's as good as a fetch quest as I'm concerned for this. But,
well, you have to go to Swamp anyway, but
yeah, that's true. Very clean and well executed Mire 2 from Matt there using the Fire Rod. It's the conventional vanilla strat. but it's the vanilla strat because it's the fastest way to clear out that room.
But no fetch quests today, it's just a French vanilla cane.
Yep. Not quite Godmite, with the big key on the bridge, but you take that regardless. And we did see shadyforce's Mire 2 quite clean as well, through that room and on. And on to the firelock side of the dungeon now.
Big key, not in the worst possible location, but something else must be because Matt's heading that way anyway.
Yep. And honestly, at this point, it's got to be either the flippers or the ice rod, I would think, or just something blocking them. Because there's nothing else we really need at this point. And this is a really out-of-the-way chest for safety. I've seen runners skip swords in this chest, for example.
Well, they definitely would right now. They don't need butter.
True. But, like, we've got silver arrows, we've got blue mail. I can't imagine coming out of this way for a heart container, so it's got to be progression.
So yeah, both our flippers and arcane in Mire. So just the ice rod kind of still outstanding.
And the good news is that we are not degenerating this seed into an atrocious ice rod hunt because we know where the ice rod is. We being the runners and technically us, but we're not spoiling chat on it. Matt is trying to go for a line himself up at the bottom of this room and throw the block so that it lands on the switch strat there. Gets it on the second try, which is good for the dark. shadyforce using the strat of hookshotting across to the short bridge to get the chest there and saving him marginal amounts of time.
Matt burning that blue potion to not die in these dark rooms. Which is definitely better than dying here for sure, but does mean you won't have it for later.
Yeah, he does have the cash to refill it if he decides he wants to, but he's through what is by far the hardest parts of the dark rooms. A lot of people say that the room that shadyforce is in now, where you've got to just hit the switch that's just sort of floating there in the middle of the floor, a lot of people say that's the hardest part, and for a good reason. But the room after with the spike and the shooter is definitely really dangerous itself.
Yeah, on 6 hearts, all of it's a lot of damage that will do 1 heart regardless of armor, and because it's spoil out, they're on low health. Vitreous will not be very hazardous given that they have silver arrows, however.
Yeah. So while Matt pops it, I'll just answer a question in chat real quick. The fire rod in Palace of Darkness was in the compass chest in the 4 turtle room, so that was not locked behind any sort of fire whatsoever. But yeah, that's silver arrows make Vitreous kind of a joke. shadyforce is only 1 room away from getting this show the repeat for anybody who missed it on Matt's side, and that'll be 3 crystals for both runners. They can go off. They've got to do Swamp and Ice, find an Ice Rod, and do the Mountain Dungeons.
Yeah, Matt At this point, they're pretty converged. Depending on where the ice red is, it's very unlikely they'll diverge at all. So Matt just kind of has a slight lead here. Plenty of time for that to change, but shadyforce will need to make up some time in these dungeons.
Yeah. shadyforce's position is a bit rough here, being behind both on the route and a heart behind on the safety count, so if he's playing aggressive, if he does try playing aggressive to make up some time here, that's just even more dangerous than doing it in Matt's shoes would be. The biggest thing is that he does have that potion in his back pocket that Matt was forced to burn, so we will see if that comes into play later.
Looking at his menu, his bottle's also empty. May have burned it at some point when I wasn't looking at his screen. I'm not sure.
I totally missed that as well then. My bad. So that's unfortunate for shadyforce as well, not having that potential avenue. Unless it's something that just goes wrong for Matt, but he manages to play clean.
Yeah, and it's not a huge gap here, so it certainly could come down to smaller things like a better Agatu, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like we're talking it up here, but it's still only about 3 rooms.
Yeah.
Of course, this being Swamp Palace, we're talking 3 very long rooms, but oh well. Now, Matt, skipping the left side, skipping the bottom. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just going to suggest one possibility is it can sometimes take a little while for people to pull off the icebreaker glitch, which I would expect both runners to do. So that's a chance to make up this time.
Yeah, that's definitely within the realm of possibility at this point. Matt actually showing off the diver down trick without needing to jump into the water at all, so I'm not actually familiar with the details for the setup behind that. I just know it's a thing, as he obviously just showed, but that's definitely a time save compared to a conventional setup, which is itself a time save compared to unflooding that room. But yeah, we are definitely still in a race here where playing even just 1 or 2 rooms messily while your opponent gets it cleanly can make a huge difference.
shadyforce doing the same diver down glitch as Matt goes through Argus.
I've got to figure out the details behind that setup at some point, because that looks a lot cooler than having to jump into the water. Matt's missing his silver arrows here, falling back just on the 2 sword spin strat. So that's a little bit of time that shadyforce can make up, close the gap a bit if his Argus fight is clean.
And just to get a comparison here, Matt sword lifts at about 32.16.
Yep, and shadyforce is moving on to phase 2 of the fight here, is switching to the arrows. Does not get the first shot. I don't know what caused Argus to bounce in weird directions there, but yeah, at this point, I think Matt's fight was faster even with the missed arrows on both sides.
Yeah, we do see Matt go to buy a potion before heading over towards ice.
And something to consider here is, obviously that magic refill for Cold Stare just in case, because there is no Bombos medallion and Icebreaker does take magic. But something worth mentioning at this point, I think, is that both runners, since this is a spoiler format and they have all the information, they're allowed to watch this restream, they're allowed to listen to us, they're allowed to watch each other. So Matt may know that he's ahead and had the time to spend on that potion if he wanted to.
Yeah, Shady Force heading straight to ice. Shady Force was about 43, 44 seconds behind on the Argus kill. So that's kind of our gap that needs to be made up. Plenty of time for that to happen, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're still well in the realm of execution being the difference here, but Shady Force going to need to quit bleeding the time in places like that Argus fight. Though Matt definitely going for Icebreaker here. Had to go up and hit that crystal switch because without it, needs extra keys to reach the boss of this dungeon.
Gets that Icebreaker right away, though. That was very nicely done.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It's really common to buffer that glitch, either with the sword or with the menu. Menu obviously being quite slow for that. But being able to get it as quick as he did is a sign that he is well practiced with that trick.
Shady's very slightly slower, but still incredible.
Yeah, like, obviously both of these runners are incredible at this game, know full well what they're doing here. They did both remember to grab that key under the rock, because you do need that to get out of these right side areas, but that's the only thing they're going to get in this dungeon besides that crystal.
Yeah, meanwhile, while they're getting ready for Cold Stare here, just a shout out to Shady Force's use of the best cursor to watch in the game. Or best sprite, rather. Cursor sprite. Puffs get away from Matt a little bit, but gets it back under control.
Yeah, as far as risk of dying goes, he's got this fight well under control, but letting them out of the corner did mean that it did take a little bit of time. Shady Force is dropping into the fight before he finishes his crystal grab.
That was a very nice fight from Shady Force and does close the gap a little there.
Yeah, that is exactly the sort of thing Shady Force was looking for to close the gap here and make this race really close. Like, that was as good as it gets for a Cold Stare fight with the Tempered Sword. Like, vanilla players dream of that. But for Matt, we are back on the mountain now. No ice rod in hand, so it is somewhere along the path here, whether it's on the east side of the mountain directly, just in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, probably the more obnoxious place for it to be in some ice would be in Hera, but you would have taken a different route up the mountain if that was so.
Yeah, like, I think if it were in Hera, honestly, may have seen them do that at the time that they grabbed the hook shot, but it's going through Super Bunny Cave instead of the faster climb through Paradox Cave, so honestly, I think he wants these chests. Ice Rod just in here?
There it is. For whatever it means in a spoiler race, that puts Matt into go mode.
Yep. It does mean that he still has to be consulting his route throughout to confirm where the keys are, but no more need for items. And Shady Force not very far behind here, grabbing his ice rod. I'm not sure that he'll be starting the Ether cutscene to open Turtle Rock before Matt's finishes, but gonna be really close if not.
Yeah, just a few seconds difference, and then Matt has a couple extra safeties at this point between the runners, although the bedrock's not cooperating there for Shady Force.
Dead rocks are a massive pain. But chat's already saying it, but even in the vanilla game, speedruns can be made or broken by good turtle rocks, and it seems like that's one of the splits in vanilla with the highest variance between a runner's best time on that split and even just their personal best run sometimes, it feels like. So there's a lot of room for things to go wrong in this dungeon for both runners.
Yeah, but it looks like we may have a rare key layout where you get to skip the fire rod lock chests on the right.
Yep, Matt definitely going for that skip. We'll see if shadyforce does it as well. Although Matt doesn't get the friendliest change hump room here, especially with his Cane of Samaria being a bit too fast for him to get the iframes. And shadyforce is skipping the roller room. That means we will not be seeing a map to this dungeon or a Book of Medora today.
Yeah, I don't know the exact odds, but it's pretty uncommon to not have at least one small key in there.
Yeah, just with the very linear way this dungeon is laid out, it does tend to be pretty front-loaded with keys. Not to the same extent as Palace of Darkness, but still reasonably slow, or so, excuse me. Which, speaking of slow, shadyforce's change hump room is absolutely not slow, but Matt's got to go through the slow pipes here to get a vanilla big key. shadyforce is going to have to do the same. And they are in the same room for however brief of a moment there, even if going in different directions.
shadyforce is going to have to be a little cautious. Does not have any kind of health refill and is down to 3 hearts.
Yeah, no sign of anything like the magic powder for a clutch refill here. And actually, I think that these pokies are in the big price pack that they've got in vanilla, so I think a fairy drop is possible. Although this RNG, with them not very friendly, and at shooter, shadyforce is in a rough spot here.
Yeah, Shooty grabs a heart out of the out from under one of the pots, and then they're gonna have to head outside, which I think they have to do anyway because they had to get the vanilla big key, and then there's a small key in the big chest.
Yep,
So,
having to get that vanilla big key means that all 4 small keys are required here. Can't skip them.
yep, and this chest having one means that you're gonna grab that, safety of a respawn point that's not the start of the dungeon at least.
Right. And also, just chat's talking about it a bit, so I want to recap a bit. This is the 0-1 round of Swiss. Both of these guys lost their first game. shadyforce lost against Faraime. Matt was taken down by Revenant. And through quirks of scheduling, those two actually played against each other, I believe it was 2 days ago. And Faraime did beat Revenant to go 2-0. So Challonge's Swiss scheduling algorithm is, shall we say, quite interesting.
That burns that potion rather than take the safety door, risk proceeding on 1.5 hearts, grabs the small key on the northmost chest, and heads on towards Trinex.
So yeah, at this point, shadyforce only a couple rooms behind still, but the gap is still there. And if he gets shot on his way out here, but he doesn't, he is good.
Yeah, we'll have to be clean on Trinex, but that's more than achievable for him.
Yep. And just to answer more questions in chat about the lamp, some may remember earlier how I said we were skipping the Book of Medora. That means we're also skipping a lamp on the Ether tablet today. These runners will not be getting that.
I guess they could mirror over before GT for those GT dark rooms.
Yeah. Could totally mirror over and get it with that book that they chose to skip. Matt did have, I think he took a hit early on trying for behind strats to get the first 2 heads down.
Balanced and spec. Speaking of powder, though, that's actually a really nice safety to pick up right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of places to use that in GT. But Matt taking damage on the first phase did slow it down significantly, and even though his crystal grab is still ahead, they were both holding up a crystal at the same time. This race has become real close. And keep an eye out when they get into Tower of Hera for how long it takes them to do the Hera pot clip and what strats they go for to get it, whether they go for a super speed clip or a bomb setup.
Yeah, and also Matt did burn the potion in there, so that's one more of the safety gap closed. So they're just a heart container difference heading into GT on that front.
Yeah, and Shadyforce is still at 7 hearts. That's the commonly cited comfortable amount with Blue Mail, so I don't think there's any real concerns on his front. And I'm not sure that both going for the same setup as well. Oh, we are in full sync here as they get it. Like, yeah, this full on, both of these runners have to play super clean.
Wow. Well, I don't know that that's the sync they wanted.
That's amazing. Like, if that's gotta happen to either runner in a race like this, I want it to happen to both of them. One spin, one slash for both runners, and the sync continues. Although I think at this point, with as close as this is, I think it's worth calling out that Shadyforce's timer is running about 1 second ahead. But here we are, into Ganon's Tower. Both of these runners know exactly where the big key is, and I'm sure they've both got plans in mind for the most efficient way to get there.
Continued sync here too. Be interested to see just where it is with them here.
Yeah. I looked at the log, so I do know where it is. I'm not sure if you checked for that, but we do have them skipping the Stalfos room, skipping the double firebar room, and we're on, the next will be the double fire snake room and the randomizer room beyond that.
Sync gets broken after a pretty long time where they were stuck and stuff after Matt had a little trouble with some of the switches. Still not much of a difference though.
Yep. But at this point, even if the sync is broken, they're still functionally in the same room, just about 2 or 3 seconds difference. And with this sync and chat talking about it, I want to bring up tie rules a little bit for this tournament. In past Link to the Past randomizer tournaments, we've gone with 2 seconds for ties. In this one, we're using 2 seconds as a baseline, but tournament admins will attempt to retime races that are within that margin by hand to determine a winner. And a tie will only be awarded if they can't come to a conclusion after doing so.
That is a fully vanilla big key, which is actually the worst place for it to be in spoiler.
Yep. Fully vanilla, fully terrible. But it does mean that we essentially have a vanilla NMG tower climb here, plus or minus the presence of silver arrows and the reduced health. Which, honestly, the reduced health, I think, is totally offset by the mail at this point.
They also have powder, which I'm not an NMG player, but I assume that that's not part of their route.
It's not for the top tier runners, but it's a pretty common pickup among people who aren't at the absolute top level. The sync is starting to break a bit here. Shadyforce, it feels like, is starting to pull just a few seconds ahead here and is one full room ahead entering the gauntlet.
Still plenty of time to make it up, though. I mean, this is close enough where it's going to be the kind of race where, you know, Muldrum 2 or Aga 2 can make the difference.
Yep, Ganon as well, and honestly, even these gauntlet rooms, like, we're back on sync. Although Shadyforce clears that room really quickly, Matt misses his slash, having a bit more trouble with that one, and Shadyforce is back just a couple seconds ahead, entering Landmos 2.
Both of them have a very nice one-cycle Landmo 2 fight with the silver arrows.
Yeah, if there was anything to be gained or lost there, it was on the order of frames. Although Matt taking the time to lift all of those pots and get the refills under them, so that's a few seconds compared to Shadyforce, who just grabbed a heart under one of them. Oh, that was a really nice Wizrobes too from Matt there. I didn't think he had it on that first one. I thought he'd done it too soon.
Shadyforce going to lose some time here. Had a torch, fire rod shot blocked, and we'll have to grab magic refills. Didn't have enough to finish out the upper room, so that's going to bring us back into the same one and put Matt a little ahead.
Yeah, definitely a bit unfortunate for Shadyforce there. And that just goes to show how close this race is, that one mistake like that you normally wouldn't think much about just overturned the lead almost. Although Matt picked up half magic that Shadyforce skipped, and that being on the other side of the room is the difference right now.
Yeah, it's really tight. That's still a slightly surprising skip, but I guess Shadyforce feels fine with the 1 bar of magic. You know, you do have silver arrows, so not a huge deal.
Yeah, like for Fire Rod only silverless, I can definitely see wanting it. But with the silver arrows, it's a lot of safety, a lot of comfort. So
yeah, it's not even like they have the cape to go for some of the cape strats on Ganon. Also, just incidentally, that was Shadyforce's last bomb. So, good job on not missing it on that conveyor belt.
I'm pretty sure that was planned, but yep. Here's Aga 2, both with a single on the first cycle. Shadyforce pulls out a double after that blue ball, where Matt only gets a single. But Shadyforce only gets a single on the third cycle after a shot despawns. And this is just not a friendly pattern. I don't think Matt made a double there.
Yeah, it looks like they had pretty equivalent fights, so not going to make any difference on this one. Just down to Ganon.
We are close here. Shadyforce just very slightly ahead. But The big thing, they've only got tempered swords, so the one cycle on each of the first two phases, not trivial. Both of these runners should be really experienced with it and will definitely do their best to get it. But it can go wrong, especially if they miss the Triton spin at the start. And then if they do get it here, we could be looking at one runner getting a double or a triple arrow shot that the other doesn't get is the difference. Like, this is well within the realm of that.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have the one cycle for both runners here. They're both going to get the exact same warps here. Okay, Shady Force slightly ahead here, getting the last hit, going into the silver phase, but there it is for Matt as well. Seconds behind.
And
Shady Force. Yeah, Shady Force could not get the stun, but uses the torch timing to set up a double there. Matt doing the same, but Shady Force misses the arrow shot.
Yep, and Matt's got it.
Yep, Shady Force should have it here as well, but no, he doesn't. So, much cleaner silver phase of the Ganon fight from Matt there. And that's going to put him across the bridge first with a time of 55 minutes and 4 seconds. And then that's going to put Shady Force across the bridge with a time of 55 minutes and 11 seconds. So we are joined by Matt now, who came out on the right side of that incredibly close 7-second difference. GG, congratulations.
GG, wow. So I wasn't watching. I had no idea it was this close.
Yeah, like basically, I think you were ahead like by 3 or so rooms going into, like, killing Vitreous going into Swamp Palace. And then it pretty well narrowed from there. Hold on a sec. Yeah, we've got Shady Force in here now as well. GG's.
Yo, thanks guys. GG, Matt.
GG, dude.
So, Shady Force, were you keeping an eye on things? Were you aware of the state of the race?
Really, I had a quick look on the restream early on, and I saw that Matt was ahead of me in Mire, but I didn't know what other dungeons were completed, but I figured he probably had a lead. And then I just didn't really want to watch from then on. I just wanted to focus and play, because it was just about go mode from then on, so I just wanted to execute it best I could.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I think he was about 40-ish seconds, 3 or 4 rooms ahead on the Vitreous kill and getting into Swamp Palace. And then from there, you just clawed it all the way back. You guys were like within 5 or 7 seconds killing Trinex. You were entering Hera. Like, you guys were in sync basically from the second you entered Hera to when you both got bonked off by Moldworm trying to jump onto that platform.
Yeah, right. Because we get the same RNG, right? So we're both going to make that dash.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like,
I'm not surprised he caught up, man. My boss fights in the end game were not good. I did not think that was a good win, to be honest with you. Shady's really good, and the difference between him and I is super narrow. So I was very surprised to win.
yeah, like the fact that this is an 0-1 match and that Shady Force you're going down to 0-2 after this, frankly, that's disgusting.
Yeah, man.
I don't have any other word for it.
Shady's one of the best 10 players in this tournament for sure. Like, him being 0-2 is a disgrace.
0-2, boys.
Like, it's horrible. Like, how is this?
The answer is Faraimi and matt7898. That's how.
Challenge has a very interesting scheduling algorithm. I believe that's been discussed at some length outside of this. And we're actually, I believe, moving away from it starting next week, Sinek said.
So just in time for the two of us to meet.
1 week too late. I was trying to say, are you sure you don't want to re-roll it there, Sinek? but he was having none of it.
It's funny because like after I lost my first race just because I just completely screwed up, and then I was like, I'm gonna get what I deserve. I'm gonna get either Salty Fry or Shady Force, and lo and behold, I get one of those two. Although I guess if I had known the algorithm, I could have just looked at challenge anyway. So.
Yeah, I'm a little happy just because we got this really fantastic race out of it. Like this was great, just start to finish to watch.
Sure, you could have had this at 4-0 too, though.
Yeah, why couldn't we get
True.
that 4-0 or 5-1 or something like that? It would have been a great matchup there.
That's true. It's unfortunate that it had to happen the way it did, but it was still a great race, and the sync the whole way through the end game was amazing. Like it was literally just the phase 4 Ganon fight that separated you guys.
As I was dropping into Ganon, I was thinking to myself, damn it, I wish I didn't have silvers right now, because I'm pretty good at the phase 4 silverless, and I really suck at with silvers. I just don't know any of the timings or anything, as you saw. So I was dropping in thinking to myself, I hope this doesn't cost me the race by getting like a 7-cycle phase 4 or something. But that's kind of what happened, I guess. That and probably the Moldorm bounce out of the arena. I don't know if someone said in chat that happened to Matt as well. I'm not sure.
I did it too, yeah.
Yeah, you guys like did it at the exact same time. You were in full sync when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good seed though. It was a fun seed. Like I played kind of safe. I'm a little out of practice. I was terrified of that Cold Stare fight. I'm in the middle of switching from the 6-slash to the single poke, and I'm at that point where I'm just terrible at both of them. And so as my Cold Stare fight reflected that, I almost took a death there.
Yeah, actually that Cold Stare fight was one of the big time saves there, because you almost took a death, and Shady Forces was pretty much perfect.
6-slash for life.
I should just go back, man. I never put this single poke is giving me tons of trouble.
The clip of the Moldorm bounce is in Twitch chat if you guys want to check that out.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be watching back the restream of this. It's always fun to watch back, even if it's a bad loss. But like it's a loss to Matt, so I don't mind.
Yeah,
I'll try and win my next 5 and pray.
I mean, if anybody in the 0-2 bracket can do it, you would definitely be at the top of the list, I think.
Well, I'm at least glad we got to play each other, even though it's these kind of bad circumstances. Like Shady and I compete a lot in like NMG races. We were both in the All Dutchess tournament, so I see Shady around a lot, and it's always fun to compete against him. So GG, dude.
Yeah, same to you, dude. It was a pleasure. Like, and I'm glad that even though one of us had to lose, the other had to win. So hopefully, I'll see you maybe in one of the later stages of the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of what I was thinking going into this. Like, at least if I lose, Shady will win, and so I'd be fine with that as well.
Seemed like a good race as well. Like 5 seconds apart in the end. Can't complain about that. I'm sure it was fun to watch. I'm gonna enjoy watching it, no matter what happened.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun here, and I think Mercer did as well, working with me. So
yeah, absolutely. It was definitely really back and forth there, with Matt having not like a huge lead, but like a 45-second lead for a while, and then Ice Palace and Turtle Rock, and then the Hera Puck flip got you two in sync, and you were in sync for a good, couple minutes. Like it was into GT before you left it. The bounce was in sync, but also the kill with Moldorm was completely the same.
Crazy.
yeah, I think it was, if I remember right, the Fire Snake room in GT where you guys started drifting ever so slightly out of sync.
Yeah, because I left myself 4 shots and then I fluffed one of them. I had to jump down. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that actually brought things back into sync after you'd started pulling slightly ahead. So that was exciting.
That's how I lost my first race. I didn't have lamp, and I ran out of magic and GT torches, and I had to mirror out. And when I was in that room, I was like, just please, because this seed, you couldn't get the lamp. Like, it would be a kind of ridiculous thing to do. So I was just like, please, just don't do that again. And that's why I was being super careful with my magic going up GT.
And yeah, we see the collection rates. I think 47 is the lowest I've seen this tournament so far. Granted, I obviously haven't seen every race and I don't have everything memorized offhand, but that's low.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's keeping track of that. There have been some even crazier fast seeds than this that I've seen, but I don't know the collection rates of them. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them were faster, or were lower.
Anyways, I think I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to say, so I just want to, one more time, absolutely incredible race. Really glad I was here for it.
Yeah.
But GG's to both of you. Good luck to you both next week.
Thanks, and thanks so much for the commentary. The two of you are always fun to listen to, so I'll enjoy listening to this back.
Yeah, thanks for the work you put in, guys. We really appreciate it.
We wouldn't have any work to put in without you guys putting on races like this one, though, so. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it from me. Mercer, do you have anything else you want to get out there before we wrap it up?
No, just give both of our runners here a follow. They're both put on a really nice show for us. Also give Junker's wife, our tracker today, and Greg, my co-commentator here, both a follow because they both are good at their jobs.
Yeah, that's something that this race was just intense the whole way through, and didn't have a good time to give shout-outs to Yoinker's wife doing the tracking for us, but always good and reliable having her pressing the buttons for us, so big shout-outs. And I think actually before we wrap, I'll just go over the schedule a little bit. For Link to the Past, we've got Walther 4 versus Sailor Neff on SpeedGaming 4 at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's, what, about 8 hours from now? Just under 8 hours. And I think that might be it for matches that are getting restreamed. And then on the SpeedGaming schedule, one sec here, for just the rest of the day, for non-Zelda, there's Hollow Knight Randomizer on this channel at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is about 2.5 hours from now. There's Mega Man 4 at 5 p.m. Eastern on the main SpeedGaming channel. Then there's Castlevania, there's Kirby, all throughout the afternoon. Absolutely no shortage of things to enjoy throughout the evening. So check it all out. And I think that will be it for us. We'll see you over some other race.